Don't be a hero.
They beat him, but they couldn't break him. The sword chose the one everyone looked down on. A story about the kind of justice we rarely get.
Must die.
Following the death of King Uther, Britain plunged into turmoil as rival factions waged brutal wars for control of the throne. With no clear heir to claim the crown, chaos reigned until a powerful sorcerer named Merlin intervened. To restore order, he forged a mythical sword and embedded it deep within a stone, declaring that only the true ruler of Britain could pull it free. Many tried, but none succeeded, until a young boy named Arthur stepped forward and accomplished the impossible. Arthur's feat revealed a long-hidden truth. He was the illegitimate son of King Uther, destined to unite the fractured kingdom. Under his rule, England prospered, but one formidable enemy remained: his sister, Morgana. Possessing dark sorcery, she transformed herself into a monstrous entity in an attempt to seize power. Despite her immense strength, Arthur and his loyal knights managed to defeat her, sealing her away. Yet before her imprisonment, Morgana vowed that she would one day return to exact her vengeance. Centuries later, a new tale begins. The story follows Alex, a young boy who wakes up in his modest home preparing for another ordinary school day. He lives with his mother, his parents having separated some time ago. After a quick breakfast, he heads out.
Thanks, Mom.
Unaware that his life is about to take an extraordinary turn. On his way to school, Alex receives a distressing text from his best friend, Felix, who is being harassed by two bullies. Without hesitation, Alex rushes to help, arriving just in time to witness Felix being dangled upside down by the tormentors. One of them, a student named Lance, notices Alex approaching, and rather than backing down, shoves him to the ground. Undeterred, Alex stands up, determined to defend his friend, and a fight breaks out. The altercation quickly escalates, leading to an inevitable trip to the principal's office. Ms. Lee, the school's strict administrator, reprimands Alex, warning him that another fight could lead to expulsion. The next day, Alex is assigned to a behavioral improvement session alongside Lance and his accomplice, Kay. Despite the warning, trouble finds him again when the two bullies decide to chase him after the session, eager to get revenge. In an attempt to escape, Alex runs through unfamiliar streets and stumbles upon an unfinished construction site. Desperate to evade his pursuers, he makes a risky move. Leaping from the structure, he crashes to the ground and loses consciousness. Panicked, Lance and Kay assume the worst and flee. Moments later, Alex awakens, dazed but completely unharmed, as if the fall had no effect on him at all. Confused but grateful, he dusts himself off and begins making his way home. On his journey back, he comes across something unusual: a sword embedded in a rock. Intrigued and still on edge from the chase, he approaches the weapon, wrapping his fingers around its hilt. To his astonishment, the sword slides out effortlessly. With no idea of its true significance, he decides to take it with him. That evening, he shows it to Felix, who examines its Latin inscription. His research leads to a surprising discovery. The sword originates from the same town as Alex's long-absent father. This revelation stirs memories of bedtime stories about King Arthur and Excalibur, but Alex quickly dismisses the notion that the blade in his possession could be anything more than a replica. Unimpressed by the idea of destiny, he tosses the sword into his wardrobe before heading to bed, unaware that his life is about to change forever. The following day at school, an unfamiliar face joins the class. A peculiar new student named Merlin. Though he appears to be a teenager like the rest, there's something undeniably strange about him. His mannerisms, his speech, even his presence feel off. More unsettling is his fixation on Alex, watching him with an intensity that makes him uneasy. Eventually, Merlin approaches Alex directly, delivering an ominous warning.
Go away.
In just 4 days, a solar eclipse will occur, and with it, the sorceress Morgana will awaken from the underworld, intent on unleashing destruction upon the world. Alex, however, has little patience for what he assumes is pure nonsense. Dismissing Merlin as a delusional oddball, he turns and walks away, completely unaware of the danger lurking just beyond the horizon. Despite dismissing Merlin's warnings, Alex couldn't shake the eerie feeling that had settled over him. The wizard's words echoed in his mind, leaving him restless. Fearing the sword might bring unwanted trouble, he made a firm decision to return it to where he had found it. But before he could act, an unsettling noise from outside his bedroom window interrupted his thoughts. As he cautiously approached, his heart pounded at the sight before him. A monstrous being was emerging from the earth, its glowing eyes locked onto him. The creature moved with terrifying speed, charging straight for Alex's room. In sheer panic, he grabbed the sword and prepared to fight. Despite his determination, the creature proved to be far stronger. It swatted him aside effortlessly, pinning him down as it raised its weapon for the final blow. Just as all hope seemed lost, the beast suddenly disintegrated into thin air, vanishing without explanation. Stunned, Alex barely had time to process what had happened when Merlin appeared in his room. The wizard calmly explained that he had saved Alex from certain death and urged him to meet him the next day at a local diner to learn the truth. Though still skeptical, Alex knew he couldn't ignore what had just happened. The following day, Alex brought Felix along as they headed to the diner. To their surprise, they found Merlin working as an employee, blending in but clearly waiting for their arrival. Once seated, he finally revealed his true identity: an ancient wizard who had returned to stop Morgana, an evil sorceress whose growing power threatened to plunge the world into darkness. Hearing this, Alex was overwhelmed. How could he, a 12-year-old kid, be expected to save the world? Frustrated and full of doubt, he handed the sword back to Merlin, convinced he wasn't the hero they needed. But before he could leave, Merlin used his magic to show him a chilling vision. A world consumed by fire and shadows, with Morgana's monstrous forces reigning supreme. The vision was horrifying, shaking Alex to his core. Yet he still wasn't entirely convinced. Determined to be done with it all, he and Felix set out to return the sword to its original resting place. But as they approached the site, trouble found them once again. Lance and Kay appeared, blocking their path. The bullies, seeing the sword as something valuable, attempted to take it by force. Both took turns trying to pull it from Alex's grasp, but no matter how much they struggled, the blade wouldn't budge. Then, with effortless ease, Alex lifted the sword with a single motion, proving once and for all that it belonged to him. Seeing this, Alex tried to convince Lance and Kay to join him in his fight against Morgana. But before they could respond, an even greater threat arrived. Morgana's skeletal warriors emerged from the shadows, attacking with ruthless precision. The four were forced into an intense battle, dodging blows and barely keeping up. In the chaos, Lance managed to snatch the sword from Alex. But as he wielded it, a skeletal soldier struck him down, preparing to finish him off. Without hesitation, Alex rushed to his rescue, reclaiming the sword and cutting down the attacker just in time. After the fierce battle, the group managed to escape to the streets, only to find the city in disarray. With their options running out, Alex made a bold decision. They would take a car from the now abandoned road. Working together, they fought off the remaining skeletal warriors while navigating the streets, using their wits to outmaneuver the undead threat. The moment the battle ended, the displaced civilians, who had mysteriously vanished during the attack, returned to their normal locations, confused but unharmed. Realizing they had only bought themselves a little time, Alex gathered the group at his house to discuss their next move. He revealed his plan: to travel to a mysterious island where he believed his father resided, hoping that he held the key to defeating Morgana. Though hesitant, the group ultimately agreed, setting the stage for the perilous journey ahead. As the journey to the island continues, Merlin takes the opportunity to instill in Lance and Kay the fundamental principles of chivalry, the code every true knight must uphold. He emphasizes that honor, courage, and unity will be their greatest weapons against Morgana. To further prepare them, He transports the group to a secluded training ground, where their combat skills will be put to the test. Using his magic, Merlin forges swords for each of them, then animates the surrounding trees to serve as sparring opponents. The enchanted trees strike with precision, forcing Alex and his companions to quickly adapt, sharpening both their technique and teamwork. As their training intensifies, Merlin momentarily departs to gather food, leaving them to face the challenges on their own, a necessary step in their growth. Unbeknownst to them, Morgana has been watching their every move, biding her time. The moment Merlin leaves, she seizes the opportunity to take control of the enchanted trees, twisting their magic against Alex and his friends. The once neutral sparring partners turn hostile, their branches lashing out in an attempt to drag the young warriors into the depths of the underworld. Despite their best efforts, the trees prove too powerful, overpowering them at every turn. Just as it seems they are doomed to be pulled into Morgana's domain, Alex desperately calls out for Merlin. Sensing the danger, the wizard reappears, unleashing a burst of magic that severs Morgana's hold over the trees. The group is saved, but the battle comes at a cost. Merlin, drained from expending so much energy, is left severely weakened. With no choice but to step away to recover his strength, Merlin temporarily leaves them on their own. Tensions within the group immediately begin to rise. Frustration boils over, and Lance, fed up with their situation, grabs Excalibur and threatens to leave. Alex refuses to let him go, and a heated argument escalates into a full-fledged duel. Swords clash as the two battle furiously, their emotions fueling each strike. Then, in a single devastating moment, Excalibur, the legendary sword of King Arthur, shatters. Silence falls over the group as they stare at the broken blade. Furious, Lance storms off, leaving them divided. Determined to restore what was lost, Alex turns to the stories of King Arthur for guidance. Through his research, he learns of the Lady of the Lake, a mystical entity who may hold the power to reforge Excalibur. Clutching the shattered pieces of the sword, he ventures to a nearby body of water and calls upon her. In response, a shimmering figure rises from beneath the surface, her presence otherworldly. With a wave of her hand, she magically restores Excalibur, its legendary power returning in a radiant glow. Lance, witnessing this miraculous event, is left in awe. Realizing his mistakes, he returns to Alex and sincerely apologizes for his reckless actions. With his loyalty renewed, the group reconciles, emerging from the ordeal stronger and more united than before. As their journey continues, they encounter a group of knights who possess much-needed horses. Hoping to gain an advantage in speed, Alex requests their assistance, but the knights refuse to part with their steeds. Before the debate can continue, a skeletal army ambushes them, swiftly overwhelming the knights. In the chaos, Alex and his friends seize the opportunity to take the horses and flee into the dense forest. But danger follows close behind. During their escape, one of the skeletal warriors lands a devastating blow on Alex, nearly killing him. At the last moment, Kay intervenes, saving Alex from certain doom. As the battle rages on, Alex notices a disturbing pattern. The skeletons are relentlessly drawn to Excalibur. Realizing he can use this to their advantage, he devises a daring plan. Luring the skeletal army toward a steep cliff, he skillfully outmaneuvers them, leading them straight over the edge. One by one, they tumble into the rushing river below, their pursuit finally brought to an end. The following morning, Alex makes a crucial decision. He embeds Excalibur deep into a rock, ensuring that no one but him can retrieve it. With the sword safely hidden, he sets off toward what he hopes will be his next major breakthrough, finding the house where his father is said to live. When Alex finally arrives at his father's supposed home, he is instead met by his Aunt Sophie. With a somber expression, she reveals the harsh truth. His father was not the hero he had imagined. Instead, he was a broken man, mentally unstable, and unable to handle responsibility. A year ago, he abandoned them. and no one has heard from him since. The revelation crushes Alex. The one person he had hoped could guide him was nothing more than a distant memory. Overwhelmed with grief and self-doubt, he throws the Book of King Arthur into the river, convinced he is unworthy of wielding Excalibur or fulfilling any kind of destiny. But his friends refuse to let him spiral into despair. Felix, Lance, and Kay remind him of the countless lives depending on him. They push him to rise above his disappointment, to fight, not for a father who was never there, but for the people who still need him. Their unwavering support reignites his determination, pulling him back from the edge. At that moment, Merlin reappears, holding the very book Alex had cast away. He returns it to him, a silent yet powerful gesture that tells Alex his journey is far from over. With renewed purpose, Alex studies the book once more, and at last, he uncovers the location of Morgana's hidden fortress. Knowing the battle ahead will be their greatest challenge, Alex and his friends decide to prepare properly. They visit a costume shop, gathering makeshift armor and medieval-style outfits to fully embrace their roles as knights. Though the idea is unconventional, it strengthens their unity, reinforcing their belief in the mission. With their newfound confidence, the group sets off toward Morgana's fortress. When they reach the location described in the book, however, they find nothing but an empty field. Doubt begins to creep in, but Alex chooses to trust the legend. He plants Excalibur into the ground, and instantly, a magical portal opens before them, revealing the hidden entrance to Morgana's lair. Stepping through the portal, they enter a vast and eerie castle. The air is thick with dark energy, and every shadow seems to move with a life of its own. As they proceed toward the main chamber, they are suddenly ambushed. Enchanted tree branches, controlled by Morgana's magic, lash out and ensnare them. Despite his best efforts, Alex's friends are completely trapped, leaving him as the only one able to break free. With no other choice, he presses forward alone, knowing he must face Morgana without them. At last, he comes face to face with the sorceress herself. Morgana, unimpressed, mocks him, belittling him as nothing more than a foolish child playing at being a knight. She declares that his resistance is meaningless, as her plans to engulf the world in darkness are already in motion. But Alex refuses to be intimidated. As Morgana begins to transform into a monstrous dragon-like form, he grips Excalibur tightly and charges forward. Against all odds, he lands a decisive blow, stabbing her with the legendary blade. Morgana shrieks in agony as her strength falters. With the sorceress gravely wounded, the castle begins to collapse around them. Alex rushes to free his friends, and together, they make a desperate escape, barely managing to get out before the fortress crumbles into ruin. Standing amidst the wreckage, Alex feels a deep sense of triumph. He has done it. Morgana is defeated. Believing his quest has come to an end, Alex makes one final decision. He returns Excalibur to the water, throwing it into the river where the legends say it belongs. With the sword gone and the world seemingly safe, he goes home, ready to leave his adventure behind and resume a normal life. But the next morning, something is wrong. As Alex wakes, he finds tree branches creeping around his house, an eerie sign that danger still lingers. Before he can react, Merlin appears once more, his expression grave. The wizard delivers a chilling revelation. Morgana is still alive. Her survival, he explains, is tied not to magic alone, but to Alex himself. His journey as a knight is incomplete, and his lack of absolute honesty and commitment has left the door open for her return. The battle is not over yet. Realizing that his unresolved emotions are holding him back, Alex takes a crucial step toward becoming the knight he is meant to be. He approaches his mother, apologizing for his behavior and finally opening up about everything: the sword, Morgana, and his mission to save the world. This moment of honesty and reconciliation strengthens him, but there's one problem. His mother doesn't believe a word of it. Determined to prove the truth, Alex heads to the bathroom and calls upon the Lady of the Lake once more. In an instant, her ethereal form emerges from the water, returning Excalibur to him. As the legendary sword materializes before his mother's eyes, all doubt vanishes. She now understands. Her son is part of something far greater than she ever imagined. Reuniting with his friends, Alex wastes no time. The solar eclipse is only 6 hours away, the moment when Morgana will reach her full power. With so little time left, he devises a bold and desperate plan: rally the students at school to help in the final battle. Gathering the entire student body in the schoolyard, Alex and his team plead their case. But their warnings of ancient magic and an undead army are met with skepticism and laughter. The idea of fighting knights and sorcerers seems too ridiculous to believe, until Merlin steps forward. Before their eyes, the old wizard shapeshifts into a bird, a display of undeniable magic that silences the crowd. The laughter fades, replaced by awe and understanding. One by one, the students come around, ready to stand and fight alongside Alex. Under Alex's leadership, the school transforms into a fortress. Students work together to build traps, reinforce defenses, and prepare for the battle that will decide the fate of the world. And then, the eclipse begins. The earth trembles as Morgana's skeletal army emerges from the ground, launching a relentless assault. But this time, Alex and his allies are ready. Using the traps they set, the students manage to take down dozens of skeleton warriors, proving that strategy can triumph over sheer numbers. But no matter how many they defeat, the undead army continues to grow stronger. As Morgana herself arrives, her fiery, monstrous form radiating pure power, the battle takes a desperate turn. Her overwhelming presence pushes the defenders to their limits. Thinking quickly, Alex devises a new strategy. He lures Morgana onto the school's rooftop, forcing her into a vulnerable position. The students rally together, using ropes and makeshift restraints to trap the sorceress, holding her down just long enough for Alex to make his move. With Merlin's help, Alex climbs onto Morgana's monstrous form. Summoning every ounce of courage, he drives Excalibur straight into her, delivering the final blow. A deafening roar echoes through the battlefield as Morgana is finally vanquished, her dark magic fading into nothingness. With Morgana gone, the world is safe once more. The next day, Alex takes Excalibur back to the lake, returning it to the Lady of the Lake, who gracefully accepts it. His journey is complete. Merlin reappears, no longer disguised as a student, but standing in his full grand form. He bids farewell to Alex and his friends, assuring them that if the world ever needs him again, he will return. As the dust settles, the school lies in ruins, but the students celebrate their hard-earned victory. They stood together, fought against impossible odds, and emerged victorious. Though their lives will return to normal, they will never forget the adventure that changed them forever. And now, a question for you. If you were the one to find King Arthur's legendary sword, what would you do? Would you rise to the challenge like Alex, or take a different path? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.